Thank you for the opportunity to share with you my passion about buffalo. First, a word about the name buffalo. These animals are referred to as both buffalo and bison. And according to experts, the name is the same, merely that the bison is the scientific name for both the genus and species. Both terms refer to the same animal. Ever since I was a teenager in the Boy Scouts, I was very enthusiastic and passionate about buffalo. Like most people, I'm impressed with their majesty and their symbolism for the American plains in the spirit of American discovery. Throughout my life, I have either collected or been gifted many different versions of the American buffalo. And today I'm going to share a few of those with you. They range in mediums of photography and some soft material to wood, to ceramic, to metal, and finally to traditional painting. So let's get started with the paper version or the photographic version. Here are some photographic representations that I've collected through the years. Some obviously with a very artistic bent to them. Others attempting to capture the nurturing aspect of buffalo, and some the overwhelming majesty of buffalo. And of course, where would I be without some guide on that? This is the field guide to the North American bison. And some other simple things I've gotten through time. There are actually postage stamps from the U.S. Postal Service for buffalo, as well as some other wonderful pictures of stampeding buffalo or the lone buffalo, which happens to be a local Auburn winery, by the way. Some lonely sorts of pictures of buffalo climbing through snow, and a really beat up picture that I kept for many years because it's from my daughter, Lexi, on buffalo. Next, I'll share with you some of the material representations of buffalo. So this was one called the canned buffalo, and this little buffalo tucked into a can. And then one that I kept on my computer for many years is this little Beanie Baby buffalo as well. The next medium I'll share are the wood representations of buffalo. And it is incredible how much detail there is in so many of these. This is actually a stamp that you can use to put the symbol of a buffalo on a piece of paper with ink. And this is I guess you'd call it a stash box, which is a pretty little box that can be opened and stored with a buffalo on top. And of course there's the forever obvious wooden nickel. Don't take a wooden nickel. They have buffalo on one side, and they have some representations on the other side. I'll show you some others in metal in just a moment. One of the largest wooden representations I have is this one, and you can see the incredible detail of carving that went into producing this image. Someone obviously took a lot of time and effort to make a beautiful rendition of a buffalo. This is somewhat more simple and is actually a place to store objects in it. I've got, usually keep paper clips in that. Here's yet another buffalo, and if I recall right, I think that's the one I got just this past Thanksgiving in Mexico. Again, incredible detail, and you can see a lot of effort went into that to make this an accurate representation. Similarly, this carving. And you can see each one is unique, obviously with many similarities, but different postures, sort of different attitudes of the buffalo. This one I find particularly interesting because the neck is especially long, and it shows a kind of a different viewpoint of the bison. Here are a couple other wooden carvings that actually are meant to be like a Christmas tree ornament. Again, detailed but very fine work. And one more wooden representation here of a buffalo. Even down to the detail of the face of the buffalo and the position of the legs. Another very popular medium for producing images of buffalo is ceramic. And I have a significant collection from something that appears simple, perhaps even primitive, to one that is far more expressive. There we go. Again, carved from stone. Of course, what would the collection be without a hot plate in the form of a buffalo? Some have gone off in slightly different directions, expressing, again, the maternal aspect of buffalo and the relationship between the mother and the cub. And of course, the white buffalo is very different from normal buffalo and much more rare. And there's a buffalo in motion carved in stone, and yet another one showing just the majesty on a marble ramp. And one more of mother and cub, and a few more that are more plain but intending to capture the overall majesty of the buffalo. This one attempting to capture the buffalo in its environment with the broad green grasses of the American plains. And this one showing the white buffalo perched upon a mound of stone with a candle associated with it. And then, of course, glass being another form. This particular buffalo I've been particularly fond of, and shows a great deal of detail as well as clarity. Less common as a medium is leather, and usually used for something like coasters, which is what these are, which are obvious buffalo, but not terribly detailed. Another medium that's popular is metal in various categories. And you may recognize this as the infamous buffalo nickel with the, quote, Indian head, quote, on the back. And this one is just complete with a buffalo on each side. And of course, it's going to have the eternal warning of a buffalo crossing. You don't want to get in the way of a buffalo trying to get to the other side of the road. It could be dangerous. And then an inspirational one for me, behold this day, it is yours to make. Looking at the buffalo. Another version of a coin, a 5-cent piece as it were, obviously far oversized, but still filling its role of capturing a particular time in American history. Let me just note at this point that for most people, I think, Buffalo is a very positive symbol. But I am not naive. I do know that it does represent for many people an abusive environment, an abuse of American power. Today, I'm merely sharing with you my passion about buffalo and how beautiful I believe that the animal is, and nothing more. No value judgment going into that. Here's another minor metal piece. It was actually a complete metal, which is very interesting, very detailed. Let's see if I can get a little more close up on that. Interesting the way it's put together. And let's see. Here we go. And here's the next one. Buffalo on a little stand. And then this style, which you'll see some more of, is kind of a laserography of metal. And I have several of those. I'll show you another one right here. It's a recent acquisition, so it hasn't found its permanent home yet, but it's also very beautiful. This last category is for painting, and it's a variety. As you can probably tell from this was painted by a child, my youngest daughter Lexi, painted this for me years ago. And then this is a more professionally painted image of a buffalo. That was a gift from my daughter Erin just recently. And of course this is a welcome sign on top of the buffalo there. And just another way of me expressing my passion about buffalo and making that be something that's important and sharing that with visitors to my office. And coming around here is another one. This was actually a gift from my father many years ago. He was aware of my passion for buffalo, and he found this and got that for me. And it is a beautiful piece. You can see again, that's a metal piece, sort of a laserography type of approach, lots of color, lots of detail, a great image. This is another image of a buffalo painted for me by a friend quite a few years ago. And with again, this is watercolor, beautiful blue background of the skies of the American plains. And then here's another one that's professionally prepared, and it gives a great image of the buffalo herd out on the trail. Here's another beautiful picture of a buffalo in a sunset silhouette that I keep in my office, and it's very dramatic. I certainly enjoy it, and I think I've covered all of my buffalo symbols. I'm sure there's probably some that I've forgotten somewhere, but anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope that you share my passion for the American bison. So thanks for taking the time to watch my little video presentation of my buffalo passion.